Hi, I'm Kenzie. Welcome back to my podcast. If you are just joining, welcome. Today we will be talking about my 7th Elmo's World VHS. It's called Elmo's World, The Great Outdoors. It includes 3 episode segments: wild animals, fish, and weather. First, let's talk about wild animals. This first episode segment starts out with Elmo introducing himself, his world, and his goldfish Dorothy. He told the viewers to guess what he's thinking about today. He opened door to reveal a lion, a tiger, a bear, and 2 monkeys. That's what Elmo was thinking about: wild animals. Then we saw some examples of wild animals. After that, Dorothy had a question about wild animals. The question was, what kind of animal is a wild animal? Elmo went to ask Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle. Except Mr. Noodle's brother was playing with his binoculars. So Elmo told him to stop playing with them, and Dorothy's question was asked to him. At first, Mr. Noodle's brother pretended to be a cat and a cow, which were not wild animals because they live with people and are taken care of by them. Then Mr. Noodle's brother pretended to be a seal, which lives in the sea. That's when Wolfgang the seal entered the scene, thinking Mr. Noodle's brother was a real seal. At that point, Dorothy wanted to ask someone else. We saw one boy pretending to be a lion, 2 kids pretending to be elephants, and 2 more kids pretending to be monkeys. Then Elmo asked a baby. The baby had a giraffe, which was a wild animal. Afterwards, Elmo pretended to be a wild animal too. After the monkeys left the scene, Elmo had a question for us. How many spots are on the leopard? The answer was 14 spots. Well, actually 15 spots, because 1 more appeared. After some great counting, Computer entered the scene pretending to be a kangaroo. The mouse was being a kangaroo too. So Elmo told him to stop so he could get his email. He clicked the mouse and it revealed Prairie Dawn. She told us that wolves are wild animals, and she knew a very famous one: the big bad wolf from the fairy tale The 3 Little Pigs. Speaking of which, the big bad wolf entered the scene to huff and puff Prairie Dawn away. It sure did mess up her hair. After the email, Elmo wanted to know where wild animals live. Well, let's see. Where do gorillas live? In a bathtub, the jungle, or on a tricycle? The jungle. Where do deer live? On the moon, in a boot, or in the woods? In the woods. Where do elephants live? In a teacup, the trash can, or grasslands? Grasslands. Elephants don't live in trash cans, except Oscar's elephant Fluffy. Oscar was seen telling Fluffy it was time for his mud bath. Afterwards, Elmo mentioned that some wild animals live in a zoo. Elmo's friend Rachel went to the zoo with her friend Vivian and her mom. They saw all kinds of wild animals. Then Elmo wanted to learn more about wild animals. He did that by watching the Wild Animals channel on TV. The wild animals wanted to watch too. On the Wild Animals channel, a lady named Marla Perkins took us down under to see some marsupials like a koala bear, a kangaroo, and a wombat. She even did a dance. Then Elmo and the wild animals did the same dance by waddling, hopping, and snoring. Then Elmo wanted to learn even more about wild animals. Elmo could talk to wild animals. The problem was all the wild animals were talking at once, which meant Elmo couldn't hear. Then an elephant entered the scene to talk to Elmo. Elmo wanted to know what wild animals eat. The animals left to eat except the elephant. They got hungry after all. You see, different wild animals eat different things. For example, the panda bear eats bamboo leaves and stalks. Speaking of which, Dorothy was imagining Elmo as a panda bear and an aardvark, which eat insects. Afterwards, Elmo mentioned that he and Dorothy love wild animals. That's why Dorothy wanted to sing the Wild Animals song. So Elmo played the Wild Animals song on the piano to the tune of Jingle Bells. Then he, Dorothy, and the wild animals said goodbye. And that's how the episode ends. Now let's talk about fish. The second episode segment starts out with Elmo introducing himself, his world, and his goldfish Dorothy. He told the viewers to guess what he's thinking about today. He gave Dorothy a clue. They live in the water. All of a sudden, water and fish appeared in Elmo's world. That's what Elmo was thinking about: fish. The fish tickled Elmo. Then we saw some examples of fish. After that, Elmo mentioned that Dorothy knew all about fish because she's one. Dorothy had a question about fish. The question was, how do you pretend to be a fish? Elmo went to ask Mr. Noodle's brother, Mr. Noodle. Before shade opened, it pretended to look like water. Then Mr. Noodle's brother was revealed, except he had his hat over his eyes. So he took it off and Dorothy's question was asked to him. At first, Mr. Noodle's brother pretended to be a dog and a chicken. Then he finally pretended to be a fish and got splashed with water. At that point, Dorothy wanted to ask someone else. We saw two kids pretending to be fish. One of the kids who was pretending to be a goldfish reminded Dorothy of his Uncle Fred. Then Elmo asked a baby. Afterwards, Elmo pretended to be a fish. Then Elmo had a question for us. How many fishes do you see? The answer was 4 fish. Then we counted backwards, from 4 fish to 1 fish. Oh, and 1 shark. Luckily, the fish ate the shark. Then Elmo wondered where fish live. Well, let's see. Can fish live in a bus, on a birthday cake, or in a river? In a river. Can fish live in a stroller, in a car, or in a lake? In a lake. Does Dorothy live in the ocean, in a raindrop, or in a fishbowl? In a fishbowl, with Elmo. Afterwards, computer entered the scene. Elmo had an email. He clicked the mouse and it revealed Telly. He told us he got a new fish for his fish tank, and it looked just like him. After the email, Elmo mentioned that his friend Brandon went with his daddy to look at fish at the aquarium. There were all kinds there. They were from all over the world. Dorothy knew that. Then Elmo wanted to learn more about fish. He did that by watching the Fish Channel on TV. On the Fish Channel, Bubbles Martin taught us how fish move and sang a song about it. Then Elmo wanted to learn even more about fish. Once again, the water and fish appeared in his world. Even a kingfish. Elmo could talk to him. The kingfish talked about the parts of him, like the tail, the fins, the gills, and the mouth, which he uses to say forsooth. Then he mentioned that fish can do almost anything. For example, pufferfish can blow up like balloons. Speaking of which, Dorothy was imagining Elmo as a pufferfish, which blew up like a balloon, a flying fish which flew, and an anglerfish which make light. Afterwards, Elmo mentioned that he and Dorothy love fish. That's why Dorothy wanted to sing the fish song. So Elmo played the fish song on the piano to the tune of Jingle Bells. Then he, Dorothy, the kingfish, and the rest of the fish said goodbye. And that's how the episode ends. Now let's talk about weather. This third episode segment starts out with Elmo introducing himself, his world, and his goldfish Dorothy. He told the viewers to guess what he's thinking about today. It rained, it got windy, it got sunny, and it snowed. That's what Elmo was thinking about, weather. Then we saw some examples of weather. After that, Dorothy had a question about weather. The question was, what do you wear when it rains? Elmo went to ask Mr. Noodle. Before he saw him, Elmo heard thunder. He thought it was going to rain. Indeed it did. It was a perfect time to ask Dorothy's question to Mr. Noodle. He needed a raincoat. Except he got his bathing suit for swimming under the water. Then he got his winter coat and sled. Finally, he got the correct rain gear. A raincoat, a rain hat, rubber boots, and an umbrella. When he opened it, it was upside down. So he held the handle and started to dance in the rain. He sure was all wet. At that point, Dorothy wanted to ask someone else. We saw one girl wearing a rain poncho, one girl wearing a raincoat and boots with an umbrella, and one girl wearing a raincoat, a rain hat, and boots. Then she pretended that she was jumping in puddles. Then Elmo asked a baby. Afterwards, it started to rain in Elmo's world again. So as soon as Elmo got his umbrella hat, it stopped raining. Then computer entered the scene. Elmo had an email. He clicked the mouse and it revealed Oscar. He told us that Grouches liked to wear nothing in the rain. He liked to get everything wet and soggy. After the email, door blew open because of the wind, so Elmo closed it tightly. Then Elmo had a question for us. How many leaves are blowing in the wind? The answer was 14 leaves and 1 umbrella hat. The wind even blew Elmo away. Then Elmo wanted to learn about other types of weather, like snow. He wondered what you can and can't do in the snow. Well, you can't swim in the snow, but you play in it. You can make a birthday cake out of snow, or a snowman. You can't count snow, but you can count the falling snowflakes. The Count was seen doing just that. Afterwards, Elmo mentioned his friend Alex loves the snow and did so many activities in it. Then Elmo wanted to learn more about weather. He did that by watching the Weather Channel on TV. On the Weather Channel, the weather lady and her dog Sunny Boy exploring the weather from the 4 seasons. Then Elmo wanted to learn even more about weather. He opened door to reveal a tornado. Elmo could talk to him, but the tornado was too windy. So the tornado went outside and Elmo stayed inside. You can't play outside when a tornado is around, but most of the time you can have fun in the weather. You can even play sports. For example, if it's windy but not too windy, you can go windsurfing. Speaking of which, Dorothy was imagining Elmo windsurfing on the water and skiing in the snow. After the tornado left the scene, Elmo mentioned that he and Dorothy love the weather. That's why Dorothy wanted to sing the weather song. So Elmo played the weather song on the piano to the tune of Jingle Bells while it snowed, it got windy, and it rained. Then he and Dorothy said goodbye, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, that's Elmo's World, the great outdoors. If you would like to play again, just go back to the beginning of this episode. See you next time. Bye!